Welcome back to the unofficial review. I'm Seeds, and this is my football review. Today I'm going to have let's say, controversial conversation, and it's more or less that I don't know. I've just been watching the NFL very closely over the last few years, and one of the things that I've taken issue with is just their lack of morality and their lack of checks and balances, and just the fact that they'll say one thing and then they'll do another. And the thing that I'm bringing up is just their coverage. And to me, I personally think that the NFL is the creator, or at the very least the enabler of domestic abuse. That's one of the things that we've seen this come to surface the last couple of years specifically. It's not that the last 2 years it's only happened, but it's just we're getting a lot more media attention around it, and we're seeing images and such. And so that's one of the things that I wanted to address, is that the NFL constantly is, again, they're caring about liability and cash, and that's all they care about. And so that's one of the things that's very frustrating, that they can just go unchecked, like I say, and have this point where they don't give a shit about domestic abuse. And that's one of the things that's sad, because frankly, I mean, with domestic abuse, with substance abuses, just with the lack of, how I put it is that the NFL has created these monsters. They've created these players to think that they're gods among men. And so that's why you see this stuff happening in point cases. So I'm going to go back to the Ray Rice incident, where Ray Rice hit his, I think now wife. But the thing is that, so we see this video, and everyone's shocked, and we're like, holy crap. And then the NFL, I wanted to charge him with more or whatever, because they said that they didn't see the video. And he was currently, up until this point, he was suspended for 2 games for punching his wife. But then this video hits surface, and then they're looking at suspending for the whole year or whatever. And then a judge threw it out. Not that the judge was in favor of what Ray Rice did, but he's like, no, you can't charge him twice. That's double jeopardy. You can't. You've already punished him for one crime. You can't come back. And that was the thing that was so disgusting. And that's one of the things that I want to bring to light, is that how the hell does the NFL get away with this? He was suspended for 2 games. But then suddenly, oh, wait, all the millions of people that are giving us money saw we only suspended for 2 games, and this is what he did. So now they're trying to step back and be like, whoa, we didn't realize, we didn't see the video. And what I can imagine, because that was the thing, was that they said that they didn't see the video. They didn't say they didn't have access to the video. They just said they didn't see it. So that was the thing, was because of the police involved, the police station said, hey, they've had access to this. They've known about this video. They've known that there was something to be seen. And I imagine what it was, hey, we got this videotape of what happened. Do you want to see it? Oh, no, we're good. Yeah, trust me, we're good. And then they suspended 2 games, because they knew that if they saw the video that they would have to take action. So they were just like, hey, I'm just going to act like I don't know. And then again, you see what happens. Same thing with Greg Hardy. He got suspended, I think it was 4 games for his abuse. And that's the thing too, was that there was no magic video, and so that's all that happened. And then lo and behold, in the middle of the season, we suddenly see these pictures where his girlfriend had bruises under her chin, all of her stomach, on her arms. He just kicked the living piss out of her. And again, he was suspended for 4 games, that's it. Again, it's just this slap in the hand. What the hell do you expect? What do you expect? Why do you think that they think they're gods? Because if any one of us did that, we'd sit in the county lockup. We wouldn't get games for freaking suspension. Ooh, I was fined thousands of dollars. I'm worth millions. That's nothing. That's like me being fined a quarter. It's like me spending 5 minutes in traffic. Those are the difficulties that we put them through, and then we're shocked that they're not learning. And that's the thing, is that the NFL is the one who's controlling all this. And then again too, now you're seeing, and that's the thing too. So after these incidences, then they have 4 months that they air this thing, saying that no more. As if somehow some person who's abusing his wife is suddenly going to be converted because he sees some stupid no more commercial. He's going to change his freaking mind if he gets his ass kicked. I mean, frankly, I think that there needs to be a much more harder retaliation to this abuse that's going to stop. Because one of the things, how I say it is, if to me, if you touch the burner, it's hot. That's how you learn a lesson. If you touch the burner and 9 months from now it burns my hand, or it kind of singes it, or maybe the hairs get a little curled up, I'm not going to learn my lesson, because the punishment is not fitting of the crime. So that's another thing. If it keeps happening, maybe it's teaching you something, that the current rules in play, the current implementation of the discipline is not enough to where these guys are learning their lesson. And so that's one of the things, is now we're seeing this thing with Josh Brown, the kicker. I'm sorry, but does not magnify the fact that clearly these guys, even pointing to a kicker, think they're gods among men? I mean, the kicker is probably one of the least empowered players, or the least Hollywoodized or whatever, at least praised. I mean, obviously they might say like they might give him kudos or whatever, but these guys have no sense of ego. So that's the point. So anyhow, so this Josh Brown guy gets suspended for 1 game, and that was the thing. Does any of us hear about this suspension? I don't remember hearing anything about in the offseason that this guy had done this abuse. And again, it was the NFL covering it up. And lo and behold, after it hits the freaking mainstream media, and everyone's like, "What the F? You just suspended 1 game?" There's someone like, "Wait a second, we didn't have all the evidence. He got charged with domestic violence. What evidence did you need? Do you think he just got super excited and was waving his arms and the woman just walked into it? Or that he was wailing on her? That's how you get domestic abuse. You don't get it from an accident. You don't get it from, so what is this point? You needed more evidence. The point of the fact of the matter was is he abused a woman, and that's the thing, is that that's why it happened again. Was you look at past incidences, nothing happens. The NFL doesn't take it seriously. They just do some stupid freaking commercials that somehow that's going to stop it, even though actual punishment of the freaking abusers has nothing to do with the changing of the outcome. So that's the thing, is again, you go back at this, you suspend him for 1 game. That's 3 players. I don't know how many counts of abuse amongst them all, and they're suspended a grand total of what? There's 1 for Brown, 4 for Hardy, so, and then 2 for Rice. So with 3 players, multiple abuses, and you have a total of 7 games of 3 players. Really? Again, do we want to know why it keeps happening? It's because they're not getting a punishment that is fit to deter them from doing it. My point is that somebody who's that big of a tool, who's willing to hit a woman, is not going to be deterred. You cannot take away their wants. Clearly, somebody who's that big of a douche is always going to have that sick desire in them to want to beat women. So you can't take away the want. You need to take away the will. The will is what gets you to do it or not do it. And the fact of the matter is, when they're not punished, they continue to have the will. Something tells me if someone gets punished harshly, the point where it's kind of the same concept as the judicial system. It's like the concept as that you need a deterrent. People are going to keep doing it. If they don't stop doing it, then clearly whatever deterrent you put in their way is not that big. So you need to up the ante. So that's one of those things where when you go from 2 suspensions for Ray Rice, 4 suspensions for Greg Hardy, down to 1 suspension for Josh Brown, guess what? We're moving backwards. It's to this point where, again, and then that's the thing too, that I literally, at the beginning of this preseason, they started this 1-800 hotline, because they ran that commercial no more for 4 months after the frickin' Ray Rice Greg Hardy incident, and then they just acted like abuse had just become obsolete. Oh, we haven't heard about it in the tabloids about an NFL player kicking the shit out of his wife, so clearly it's not a problem anymore. So we're going to stop airing that ad. And again, that's the thing, was I saw this ad for the 1-800 number that's on the NFL channel constantly. I'm like, okay, who got their ass kicked? That was my first thought when I saw that commercial, was who got their ass kicked? Because the only time the NFL does anything is if they're liable. And then lo and behold, now we find out, oh wait, a year ago May, in 2015 in May, this abuse happened. So the NFL had known the entire time. Josh Brown had been suspended for 1 game at the beginning of the year for said abuse. But none of us heard of it. So it's just one of those things where, how the hell are we supposed to take you seriously? How the hell do you expect us to think you have any integrity when every time you get a chance, you screw the people over? You screw, pretty much is it that everyone around you is at your expense. You compromise the integrity of the game so that you guys can make more money. You compromise the integrity of the athletes so you guys can make more money. It's disgusting. And so that's just one of the things I just want to get off my chest and bring a reality to the fact and bring some light to that. Hey, this is all what's going on. And the NFL doesn't give a crap about domestic abuse. And like I said, to me, they empower those abusers because they don't punish them. They're letting them know, hey, by the way, if you kick the shit out of your wife, that's what's going to happen. Keep on trucking. So it's just one of those things where it's been bothering me. And again, too, it bothered me last year when I saw the lack of punishments and the lack of seriousness, that Greg Hardy incident and the Ray Rice incident. And then again, too, it's happened again. It's just one of those things where it's probably going to just continue to happen until action is taken, until the NFL, to me, I'm sorry, but I would hold the NFL accountable. Because again, it's just one of those things too where that's what needs to be happening, is that right now the NFL needs to be punished for their lack of of punishing of players. It's one of those things where, again, they're clearly not learning because they're not having any checks and balances. I mean, they just need to pay. They just need to spend some money on some positive marketing that they're taking care of the situation. And then again, they do the Pontius Pilate. And again, like I said too, the NFL is a very short memory, so they're just going to hope and pray that we're all going to forget this by the end of the season. We're going to be talking about whoever's going to the Super Bowl, whoever's going to playoffs, and so forth. But that's one of the things, and that's what they bank on. Is they bank on the short memory of the NFL's coverage of the NFL. Because that's the thing, is that you know that when the NFL players and so forth are going to be talking about abuse, of course they're going to be talking about it from a cordial, politically correct manner, and they're going to talk about how it's wrong and it's not okay and so forth, which, most decent human beings know that. So that's the thing, is that, okay, it's wrong, we need to do something to stop it. We need to do something to make these players not think that they can just kick the shit out of women and then they can just continue on their merry way, and they might miss a few games this year, but because of their value to the NFL and to a team and so forth, that they're allowed to get away with it. So again, I want to see a much stronger take on this, and a point where, and that's the thing too that really gets me about a lot of these issues, and not just with domestic abuse, but just with some of the substance abuses, and just clearly the situation with like Aaron Hernandez, where he's killing people, killed 5-6 people. So clearly the NFL is empowering these players to think that they're above the law. And so that's one of those things where it's like, we know it's a problem, we've known it's a problem for years, how about we do something? One of the things that I've stuck true to as far as my beliefs and how to resolve a problem is go to the root of the problem. Currently with these suspensions, with this and that, how I define it is it's popping the heads off daisies. It's going to keep growing back. Stop. You're just going to keep. That's your solution to not make daisies grow up in the yard. You just have somebody stand there and just boop, wait for it to come up, boop. Really? That's going to solve the problem? How about you go to the root of the frickin' problem, take it out, and then you don't have to pay somebody to frickin' pop the head off. It's no longer an issue. So that's the thing, is I think that they need programs, and they need education systems, and they need mentoring systems, but they need to be proactive with these abuses. They need to be proactive with these above the law outlooks on life, because it happens year after year after year. And you see even Aaron Hernandez rotting in jail, and yet they're not learning. You see guys like T.O. who had at least a couple years left on his, that he could have played at a very high level, but nobody wanted to touch him because of his attitude. And you see guys like frickin' Odell Beckham, who's going to be, like I said, he's T.O. 2.0. He's going to be the next up-and-coming guy to flush it all away for teams to not even want to touch him, regardless to his talent, because of his demeanor. But that's the thing, is the NFL and the NFL teams need to be proactive about these problems and nip it in the butt. They need to start at where the problem begins, which is as these guys are going in the NFL. They need a mentoring system. They need a contract, restrictions that don't allow them to be in these circumstances. This whole honor system, we're just hoping guys get it right, that they don't follow their predecessors' bad behavior. It's ridiculous, because for years, for decades, this continues to happen, and we're all shocked that it happened again. And it's just like, it's because we're using the same systems, because we're treating them like gods. Stop it. Anyhow, so there is plenty of things that they want to do, and hopefully we don't have to revisit this conversation, because it just makes me sick thinking about it. But yes, I'm not going to let the NFL get away with just not taking responsibility for their lack of action, their lack of discipline to these NFL players. But yes, I'm sure that there'll be more controversy to be talked about down the road. But this is Seeds just checking off the unofficial review. I'm sure there'll be a lot more unofficially awesome conversations, hopefully a lot more positive than this one. But it's just one of the things where I feel like it needs to be spoken because of the lack of coverage and the lack of accountability that the NFL has not taken for their lack of punishment on these players. But yes, checking out.